today, Marty. Now, can you start off by telling us a little bit more about you and where are you from?
So I'm from Guthrie, Oklahoma. We're just north of Oklahoma City. And I grew up in Iowa as a farm kid in the 80s. So it was, anyone that was farmed in the 80s knows it was hard times. Interest rates were high and my parents struggled. And through that struggle, I learned perseverance and all kinds of good stuff. I'm one of 10 kids, which is unique. And kind of put food on the table. My dad started shearing sheep in the 80s. And honestly, he had all of us kids learn that as well. And it's really hard work, but it taught us a lot of character. And I became a youth pastor after college. Did that for 8 years, mentored kids. Learned a lot about myself, as most young 20-year-olds do. And I have 6 kids. And I started investing in real estate to 2012. And as I kind of grew that, I realized that if I can do that, then anybody can do it. And so we started a podcast and we try to help other people just do more with their life and live paycheck to paycheck and day to day. So
I love it. Tell us a little bit more about your podcast.
So my podcast is called Kill Complacency. And it really has to do with the fact that I realized if I could do this, then anyone could do it. And intentionality is the key. I mean, Compound Effects is one of my favorite books by Daryl Hardy. And he just talks about the intentionality it takes to do anything and the compound effect that happens when you do it. And so that's the goal. And I truly believe that any one of your audience, if they show up consistently, they can do anything they want. Just reverse engineer whatever you're doing. I know you're training for a triathlon.
Yes, I am.
And you have a due date and you have a time goal and you just put in the steps and you reverse engineer that. And that's what intentionality is. But complacency is the enemy of intentionality. And it shows up and it causes us to drift and get off course. You know, Dr. Gigi, when you skip a workout, when you skip a run or a swim, like, you know, in your head, I missed that. And that can spiral and that can cause us to miss more. But the compound effect of intentionality can just lead to a much better life and a much better legacy. So that's what the podcast is about. We interview people that are intentional and we try to get hacks from them and share with the audience. So that's what it's all about.
I love it. Kill Complacency. Very powerful. Now tell us a little bit more about your book that will be released soon.
So the book is, it stems from that just because we try to live as intentional as we can. I start by talking about, I call them the 7 F's. It's kind of what I have filtered my life around because I don't want to just focus on one thing. Like, let's say I'm super fit, but I abandoned my family, which can happen, right, in training. Like, we can be so focused on our runs that we don't put in our time with our family. So it's focused on filtering your decisions through that, your goals, your intentionality. So the 7 F's are faith, family, fitness, finance, friends, future self, and fun. Fun's probably where I struggle the most because it's hard to rest when there's so much opportunity.
I love it. And tell us a little bit more about your fitness journey. Were you always, how do I say this, fit, or would you say that you had to work on it?
I have always been somewhat naturally athletic, which I would argue has made me very complacent. Because I didn't, it was kind of there. My fitness journey here is relatively new to me. When I was 40, I did what 40-year-olds do. I went and got a physical and found out that I needed to change. And so I ran my first marathon then. I signed up because I knew it was hard and I knew I had to show up and I knew it had to be intentional. I couldn't skip it anymore. And I'd had I was very complacent about fitness. And not that I was like, I was overweight, definitely, but I wasn't like terrible. But I just reverse engineered it and it turned my life upside down. I went from saying I'm a non-runner to I'm a runner. And from running marathons to ultra marathons to like 100Ks. So just leaned in and kept going.
Wow, incredible. And now, Marty, I don't know how much you know about my story, but essentially I'm coming off knee injury. And through my training with Coach Chelsea Denlinger, I was able to do a 5K, 10K, half marathon, and full marathon. Now training for my first full marathon. So I agree with you.
Oh, that's awesome.
Thanks. Yes. Hard work.
When's your run?
It's October 11th of this year, 2026.
Oh, that's so fun.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm fired up. It's my first triathlon.
Yeah. What are you most scared about with it?
Right now, I believe that for me, it's faith over fear. So no fear there, but I do believe that there is room for improvement with the swim. So on the back end side of things, we're still working on the swim.
That, if I've thought about triathlons, and that's what scares me the most, is swimming. But I realized recently that if I put as much time into swimming as I do running, I would actually be a good swimmer. Because it's showing up and putting in the time, right?
Right. So you haven't rolled it out, the triathlon?
No, someday. My brother did an Ironman this last year. And
wow.
And so I'm kind of like, got to keep up with Nick.
I love that. Incredible. So what message you have for someone who's just starting on their fitness journey or wants to do a marathon, Marty?
I think the message is just start small. A lot of times we defeat ourselves early on because our goal is too big. And if you're struggling, like just show up and have like put it on the calendar and then reverse engineer it. But you don't have to go out and run. If you're going to do a marathon, you don't have to run 5 miles this week. Like, walk around the block every day and build the routine into your life of the small things and make it easy. Make it overly easy. But I would also add track it. I love, running, for instance, and probably biking too. But you can, the compound effect of it, you get so much faster in such a short amount of time. Like,
that's true.
It's fun to track. Like, you can really do a lot.
That's true. And I'll be honest, Marty, because of the knee injury that I had, it took me over an hour to do a mile. And now through my coach's training, we were able to bring that down all the way to 9 minutes.
Wow.
I know. Yeah. Lots of work on the back end side of things. So, I mean, just to see what God is able to do, I mean, it's a beautiful sight to see.
How long ago was your knee injury?
Oh, my goodness. That was a few years ago now. We're in 2026. So a few years ago. And in the mix of that, I've been able to do those marathons. But, I mean, it took work, right? I remember having the knee brace. And I remember telling my trainer, for the first time ever, I'm not taking the brace with me, right? And so it was kind of just scary. Yeah, and I'm just getting chills just talking about it. But it literally took work. I mean, day in, day out. Literally, I thought I was not going to be able to work out again. I mean, that's how painful it was.
Yes.
But she never had me look at the injury. She said, get out there and run, lady.
Yeah, show up. Do the thing.
Yeah. Yes.
What caused the knee injury?
Oh, my goodness. Me and my workouts. I spoke to the doctor and we went through the series of activities that I was doing. And we determined that it may have been just how I was jump roping. The cause of just already I was working out. And then here I am on the jump rope. This was before I had a trainer now. But after the trainer, we literally put the jump rope aside. No more jump roping. And we just focus strictly on running and things of that nature. So, and strength training.
Yes, strength. As runners, I think we neglect strength training, and it's one of those intentional things we need to do. But, the dopamine hit we get from running and biking is real. You don't get the same thing from strength training. No, I don't. And I know I need it, and I know I have to do it, so I do it. But it's not as much fun.
Right. And I know exactly what you're talking about as far as the dopamine. And I remember texting my trainer. I remember saying, what is this exciting feeling that I'm getting after I run? This was when I first started. And then I found something. It said, I did research. It said runner's high. I said, what? And I looked more. I said, oh my goodness, but it starts to simmer down a little bit the more you run. So
Yes. I ran on Saturday. I ran 13 miles, but that's when I came back. And I said, I just love running long. It feels so good. And the processing you get to do and thinking and all the problems you fix in your head, it's hard to replace.
That's true. Now, the longest that you've ever went, what's the distance?
62 miles, 100K.
Wow. Time? Do you recall the time on that?
11 hours, 46 minutes.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Amazing. Wow. Would you ever do like a 100-mile run?
I'm on the wait list right now for the Javelina 100 in October. I'm not trained up for it, but if I get called up, I'll get trained. But I know I will always wonder what I could do if I don't. So I signed up, but I was late to the list. Like that one fills up in 3 days.
I see. Congratulations, and we cannot wait to hear how it goes. Perhaps we can do a part 2, Marty.
Yeah, that'd be fun. Yeah, it
would be fun. Yeah. Now, can you tell us a little bit more about breaking the cycle of same life, different day, and just elaborate a little bit more for us there?
Same life, different day. Yeah, I think the cycle has to begin, I think, in the mind. You have to want it. So for me, for instance, on the running thing, not a lot changed for me from one day to the next when I decided to run, other than I realized my life was not spiraling, but my life was not going in the right direction that I wanted it to. And so it started with my mind of thinking about, what do I want my grandkids to have? And I want to be active for my grandkids. And so I had a mindset shift, and I said, I'm going to become a runner. I'm going to get in shape. I'm going to lose some weight. I'm going to move my body. So I would say the first thing it probably starts is in the mind. You have to want it. And I would also argue you need a why that's bigger than you, because let's face it, a lot of times we'll be selfish and we'll say we don't want to do that thing. I know you've written books, like there's limiting beliefs regarding writing, and there's limiting beliefs. But when we think about other people and how that book could affect people, or maybe that physical fitness for me affecting my grandkids, that can be a strong why that can help us move forward. So I think you need those two things. You need a really strong why. Maybe that comes first. You need a mindset shift. And once you do that, you just reverse engineer it and show up.
Very powerful. Now, Marty, oftentimes throughout society, I hear on a public forum as well, folks will maybe refer to themselves as being fat, or even how they look into themselves in the mirror, how they look at themselves. What message do you have for that individual who may feel the quote unquote fat? They're calling themselves fat. What thoughts do you have on that and message to those individuals?
Well, the one thing I would say in college, I maybe shouldn't share this, but I'm gonna, because it made me think of it. In college, we joked around about people being fat, but we would say it's PHAT, and that stood for pretty hot and tempting. So the first thing I would say is everybody is beautiful. Like, yes. Just because you have negative thoughts or because you're comparing yourself to somebody else, that doesn't mean there's not beautiful things about you. So just realize that fat can mean, we can reframe it, can mean pretty hot and tempting. Like there's people that are very attracted to that. So it doesn't have to be a bad thing. It is maybe a sign that you need to do something. And so go move your body. Like, that's the easiest thing to do. Go for a walk. But yeah, that's what I would say is reframe some things and then go do action. Like, if you don't like it, we can become anything we want. So go do it.
I love it. And I love what you said. Everyone is truly beautiful. That's so true. Thanks so much for sharing, Marty. Now, you talk about from stuck to self-led. Can you explain a little bit more to us?
From self to self, say it again.
From stuck to self-led?
Yes. Yeah, it's just a matter of, overcoming those limiting beliefs and then reverse engineering and showing up and doing the thing that you believe you need to do to lead others. And I guess we don't realize at times what, they say with parenting, more is caught than taught. So it's powerful when you will get unstuck and you will start to lead, how that can really affect your legacy, your kids, your grandkids, whatever. So I think it is powerful to move out of that. And we don't have to stay in the ruts. We can overcome.
So true. And another one of your mottos, you talk about doing the work that changes everything. Marty, what message do you have for the individual that may be living in fear right now? They want to start something, they want to achieve a goal, but the fear is maybe keeping them from doing so.
Fear is very powerful. And fear, I think something with fear is you have to recognize that a lot of times it is from something from the past, but it is not something that has to be present. And we can overcome that with a mindset shift. We can overcome that with friends that lead us. We can overcome some fears maybe by reading material, but lean into that and just recognize that it is an emotion and not all emotions are true, and that God has bigger plans for you than living in fear. So try to be an overcomer.
So true. Now, Marty, what other major challenges have you faced in your life? We spoke about struggling when you were younger. We talked about weight loss. Any other challenges that come to mind?
Oh, I could talk about a lot. One comes to my mind, marriage. Kind of passionate about this. I'm married 23 years. I've got 6 kids. But I would say something people don't talk about much, I don't feel like, is marriage, how hard it is. I think they expect it to be easy. They watch Hollywood's version of marriage and they expect it to be easy, and it isn't. My wife and I struggled for a few years in our marriage. We had 6 kids. They were young. And I honestly was not present. I wasn't the person I should have been for her. I was providing but not present. And so there was some things to overcome there. There was some intentionality on my part to focus on her, to do date nights, to travel less. And we started going to marriage conferences and getting help. So that would be something I overcame on a more personal level. I could talk about business failures, complacency there. My buddy and I, a couple of years ago, we'd hired a guy and weren't paying real close attention to numbers and houses. I flip houses for a living. And before we knew it, we were like $150,000 short, and we had 3 houses to fix. So we had to figure it out. We had to overcome that. We had a reputation on the line, and we had to sell some real estate in order to dig out of that and get creative. So I fail all the time. I try not to let it get me too down, but we do fail. And when we do, we push the reset button and we figure out how to start over and climb out.
So true. Fail forward. And like you, I've failed several times. And I've learned, right? You take the lesson and you keep moving forward. And I believe in you. If you're listening to this message today, if you failed at something, don't give up. Keep working on it. You got this. And Marty, I want to circle back to what you said about marriage, right? We just did a first annual global marriage conference hosted by Mark Olsey and I. And we talked about marriage. And I just love what you shared, because you just said the raw truth, right? You kept it real, so to speak. Yeah, and I love that. Instead of just saying, it's perfect and whatnot. You gave the truth. And I just appreciate you being vulnerable and transparent. And there's a book by Tracy Morrow, right? The Real Life Marriage. And on the front cover, right, it's a dirty plate. It really challenges the individual to really dig deep, right? And the truth, right? To really dig deep. And like you said, it's hard work. It's working on it, right? Mm-hmm. Perfection, not perfection. Thank you, Marty. Thank you for just being you and for sharing the truth. And then you also, what's that?
Well, I feel like we're not honest about our marriages a lot of times, and then we become isolated, and we don't realize that marriage is hard and everyone else is struggling. But when you're open and honest, and that's what I hope to do with your audience, is just be real and let's realize it's hard. And when we go into it with that mindset, well, now we can get answers and we can get help and we can become better. But when we think it's going to be easy, as soon as it gets hard, we quit. So
I love it. Don't quit. Keep working on it. Very powerful, Marty. And then you also talk about counseling, right? Obtaining counseling. What message do you have for the husband and wife who maybe want counseling, but there's some fear there now? What message do you have for those couples?
There should be fear, because it's scary, right? Because you're going to be vulnerable. You're going to be honest. But I think you have to ask, like, what outcome do you want? Do you want to split up the holidays and the weekends? Or do you want to lean into something that can actually help you become a better person? So I understand the fears, they're real. Sometimes we're scared of the truth, or we're scared of letting people know about wounds or our handicaps, but truly on the other side of that is true help, and it will make you a better person, and it'll give you a better legacy with your kids. So I get it. It's hard. It's scary, but behind scary and hard a lot of times is a much better life. So go get it. Like, sign up.
I love it. Go get it. Amazing. Now, Marty, you also talk about challenges in business. So let's circle back to it a little bit here. Now, what message you have for the entrepreneur who just started a business and is struggling a little bit and maybe even on the brink of giving up? What message you have for them, Marty?
First thing I would say is know your numbers. And pay attention to that. That's what I did wrong. Numbers tell a story. So the other thing I would say, there's a really good book called The Big Dip. I think it's called The Big Dip. Maybe it's called The Dip. But he talks in there about how within every business, within runs too, you'll notice this, or bike rides, you start up here and there's this dip. It's like a U. And a lot of times we give up when we get to the bottom, when it's really hard. And we don't realize that it's about to get easy as we come out of it. And we give up way too soon. And I think he gives a stat in there, like 60% of people that give up in business give up at that point. It's the same you'll notice it in runs. Like, when do we hit the wall in a marathon? It's between mile like 18 and 20 or 18 and 22. And it's our body giving up. But somehow, have you ever hit the wall?
Yes, during the full marathon, and my foot actually shifted, but I kept going and I did the 26.2.
And it's crazy what happens. And he talks about it. He's really smart, the guy, the author. In our brain, what happens, because you think you're done, 2/3 of the way through, your body can't go anymore. And I've had this happen so many times. And then suddenly at the end, you're running your best lap, your best mile. And it's because you're at the end. So that's what I would say to the business owner is realize it is hard, lean into it. It may get harder still, but pretty soon you're going to break through and it's going to become easier. And you're going to be a better person, and you're going to be able to build a better business the second time or the third time as you come out of this and become a better person. But if you throw in the towel and give up, like, you're not gonna improve. You're not gonna build that perseverance to become a better person. So I'm sorry to say it, but you gotta lean in and get stronger, get better. Ask hard questions, read books.
I love it. And you say lean in. Are you a believer as well, Marty?
Yes. Awesome.
So let's talk a little bit about surrendering. What does that look like?
It's hard. Surrendering means, for me, it means getting up, reading my Bible, having prayer time, and starting my day with a God first mindset, so that as things come up, I can come to Him and we're on a good page, and I can seek help and try to listen and surrender to what He has for me.
Incredible. Surrender. Now, Marty, what gives you the most joy?
I don't know. Maybe the most joy. No, it would honestly be relational, probably family orientated, but I do love a good deal in real estate. I think that's always fun. But the most joy is obviously going to just be bringing joy to my family in one way or the other.
Awesome.
Making them laugh.
Incredible. You talk about real estate. What led you to do real estate?
Oh, I knew as an entrepreneur, and I knew I wasn't going to get a retirement in any sort unless I created it. So I started buying rental houses to create mailbox money, so I didn't have to work in Walmart when I was 65. Like, that was my thing. I didn't want to work at Walmart, so I got rent houses.
And how many years have you been in business, Marty?
I've been buying rent houses since 2012. So 14 years.
Nice. Incredible. And now, Marty, what is your best advice to the audience for walking with purpose and living a life of happiness?
Walking in purpose and living
a life of happiness.
I would say my best advice would be to reverse engineer your life. Think about your obituary and think about what you want to say about you and your legacy, and then reverse engineer it, just like you would training for a marathon or a triathlon. If you want to be known as a generous person, then figure out how to be generous. Figure out how to get that income figure out how to give things away. Maybe you want to be known as somebody that runs marathons. Well, you're going to have to go sign up, you know?
Just do it. Yeah.
So that's what I would say. Live with purpose. It's just like setting goals. You know, you want to do X, Y, Z this year. Set the goal, reverse engineer, create daily actionable steps for yourself, and then just show up and do the thing. But you can have that legacy. Like, if I want to be the guy that gives away $1 million, I just reverse engineer that. I'm going to live till be age whatever. I'm going to give away X amount per year. And I could literally, not that I would want that on my obituary, but you could do that. Like, you can create that legacy. So when you create that legacy, when you reverse engineer it, you are going to live with purpose, and you're going to be so happy because you know you are doing what you feel called to do. And there's nothing that's going to bring you more satisfaction and happiness than living out your purpose.
I love it. Very true. Now, Marty, do you have any last words for the audience?
I would say you guys are capable of anything and everything. Go out there and do it, especially in America. Like, we have so much opportunity here. So go lean in, you put your phone down and live intentional and do the things that maybe are hard or scary, because on the other end of those hard and scary is a beautiful life that you cannot even comprehend.
Wow. Very powerful. Thank you so much, Marty. Now, where can the audience find you?
If you Google Marty Hoffman, you can find me a lot of places, but Marty Hoffman, Hoffman is one F and two N's. I also have a webpage called killcomplacency.com. They want to do like a fun little test. They can go to killcomplacency.life and they can do the 7F test, and they can score themselves on how they score among the 7 Fs we talked about earlier.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Thank you. Anything else you wanted to share there, Marty?
No, I was just going to clarify that.
Thanks so much, Marty. And ladies and gentlemen, make sure to check out Marty on his website. And Marty, thank you so much for being a guest on the Welcome Me podcast. God bless.
Yes. Thank you.
Welcome.